You gotta check this out. This is pretty amazing. We got the 1 kilowatt super car charger here from DJI plugged into the DJI Power 1000 and the 2048 watt hour expansion battery, and we're getting 1050 watts input, now 1061, into it from my wife's 2007 Honda CR-V. That's amazing. All right, everyone, so I'm never gonna underestimate the power of the SDC port ever again on the DJI Power 1000. So in my initial review video of this, I stated that they may be coming out with some more accessories to be able to use with the SDC ports. So they came out with a 2048 watt hour expansion battery. We're going to be testing that. And I also have the 1 kilowatt super fast car charger that will recharge very fast from your vehicle, as you could see in the intro. But very amazing, when you add this expansion battery to the main unit, you actually gain some benefits. You gain an extra 200 watts of continuous output, and you also gain up to 300 watts of recharging power whenever it's combined with the expansion battery. And you can expand this main unit with up to 5 of these expansion batteries for a total of 11,264 watt hours. To connect it, you just daisy chain it from the top input on the DJI 1000 to the top input of the expansion battery, and then you would go from the bottom output of the expansion battery to the top inlet of the next battery, so on and so forth, up to a maximum of 5. And what's awesome, this form factor, is that the expansion battery is exactly the same size as the main unit as far as the measurements go, but it only weighs 36 pounds, so really lightweight, easy to maneuver around. You can unplug it and carry each one individually. For over 3,000 watt hours of power, to be modular like this is pretty nice. One thing to know is that you will have to plug this into a computer to the DJI Home Assistant app, and will have to update through this USB-C port here. To put that into update mode, you hold the AC button and the power button for a few seconds. That'll put it into update mode, and then you'll be able to update it in that app. Now, initially I did have some problems with the update going through. Every time I tried it, it kept giving me an error code. The one way I got it to go through, but I didn't see it in the update instructions anywhere, is I had to have the AC plugged into the wall into here for the update to go through smoothly. Now, I was able to roll it back and then try again, and like I said, I kept doing that, kept getting errors, until when I was ready to update it, I plugged the AC cable into here, did the update while that was plugged in, everything went through, and everything works great now. After that initial update, if you get this Wi-Fi dongle, which is another accessory they have, you'll be able to update it in the future from that dongle itself, and you can connect to Wi-Fi and can control this thing remotely with that. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that this dongle does not work in this lower output port, so you do have to use it in that upper port, and this lower port does not output any power to any of the adapters currently. So you can't output any 12 volt DC, fast charge drones, or use the XT60 output connector with that lower port as of now. Not sure if there's going to be any updates or anything in the future that may allow you to do that, but I do know that they are probably going to come out with some more accessories to be able to use in that lower port. Now, you can charge from solar into that lower port when you have the expansion battery plugged into the main unit. However, keep in mind, you cannot charge or use this expansion battery by itself. It has to be plugged in to the main unit to be able to do anything, to be able to charge it, and to be able to get power out of it. So if you want 12 volt output when your expansion battery is connected in, you would have to remove this dongle and then just plug your 12 volt adapter dongle into here. I'd love to see them update this in the future so you can output power from this port as well. Oh, and I also want to mention they actually came out with a 1.8 kilowatt hour charger as well that you could charge with up to 1,800 watts of solar, or up to 600 watts from your vehicle and 1,200 watts from solar at the same time. So pretty cool. It's amazing to see some of the accessories that they're coming out with for this. I never in a million years thought that they would have come out with awesome things like this to charge up this unit. And I do want to disclose that they did send me this stuff for testing, but if you're interested in any of it, I'll put affiliate links down below in the description where you can pick up everything. And if you guys seen the awesome deal on this during Christmas time, Black Friday, you could get these things on Amazon for like $379, and off of their official website for $479. I think they may be like $570 something now as of me currently filming this video, but I'll put a link down there in the description to everything if you guys are interested in any of the stuff I show in this video. But let's get into the testing. All right, so the first nice thing about the DJI Power 1000 with the expansion battery is that you get a little bit more output power from the main unit when you have the expansion battery connected. So without the expansion battery, you can get up to 2,200 watts of output, and with the expansion battery, it can output 2,400 watts continuously until this thing drains down to 0%. So right now we're using an air fryer and we're using an induction cooktop here, but we're gonna heat some water up, cook some chicken nuggets here, and we're gonna see how this unit works being maxed out at around 2,400 watts. Miles to put them all in. All right, so we got 1500 watts there. Let's turn the water on. Put it on 600 watts. And I'll put links down below to this New Wave induction cooktop and these pots. I just got these pots for Christmas, pretty neat. You can remove the handle. I wanted these pots that way I can cook on top my portable wood stoves. I could take the handle off, the handle will stay cool, or you can put these inside of a barbecue and take the handle off, which I thought was really neat. I love this detachable handle design, but I'll put links down below to this and the New Wave induction cooktop. And if you're cooking off of one of these, you definitely want to use an induction cooktop with induction pots. This one has a little, whoop, that was a fail. All right, there we go. I got all the water cleaned up. I don't know what I was thinking by twisting that. I was just trying to show you the underneath there to see that it had a plate on the bottom of these pots to cook on an induction cooktop. So right now we got 2061 watts of output coming out of the DJI Power 1000 in the air fryer and heating up this water. We're going to go ahead and crank this thing up a little bit, see if we can max it out at 2400 watts. And this is what I like about this one. There's 3 different levels, 600, 900, and 1500 watts. Right now we're on 900 and we're up to 2347 watts. So we're just gonna let this go, continue to cook. We're gonna let the nuggets cook. We're gonna let the water heat up, and we're just gonna see how this performs and see if it can keep outputting 2400 watts continuously. Let's actually crank this up to 1500 watts here and see what happens here. I think the air fryer just cut off for a second. It kicks on and off as it gets to temperature. Actually, let's go ahead and put this on sear. And I think that just kicked back on. We're at 2387, right around the 2400 watt limit. Cooking the nuggets, heating up the water at 2381 watts currently. No issues so far. Putting out excellent power. And we have right around 1620 watts coming from the expansion battery, and the remainder is coming from the main unit. Chicken nuggets are set on 400. See how they look. There we go, 2377. And now it's going down because I think that reached temperature, or this did, one or the other. No, actually this one did. Now it says turn food. I just did that. Already done. You'll see it ramp back up. There we go, 2384. So very, very good output. All right, so the water is really starting to steam now. That's a rolling boil there. So heated up really quickly. This started at 20 minutes down to 6 minutes and 25 seconds. Still outputting 2,362 watts non-stop. Very, very good output power with this expansion battery connected. And unbelievable that they could make an expansion battery connect to the main unit with the SDC ports. Never gonna underestimate these again. And I'd say those are done. Down to 893 watts now. Only used about 22% in this test, cooking chicken nuggets, boiling some water. Very, very good output with the DJI Power 1000 and the expansion battery. All right, one last test here. This thing's supposed to be able to output up to 2600 watts for up to a minute. So we're gonna get it cranked up and start timing it. So let's start this induction cooker here on max sear. That should crank out around 1200 watts maybe. Up to 1100 there. Now let's turn on this blow dryer, see if we can get it to around the 2600 watts, 25, 24. And we'll start a timer here. So 2500 watts, I don't hear any beeping yet coming from the unit, so it's running that perfectly. Let's just let that go for around a minute there and see what happens at around 2500. And then we're gonna add about 200 more watts from this little heater and see what happens. Around 1700 watts or so coming from the expansion battery, and the remainder is coming from here at a total of 2475 watts or so. Hopefully you guys can hear me with that blow dryer running. So we're up to 40 6 seconds, 47. So no problem there running that at almost 2,500 watts. There's about a minute there, so let's kick this heater on. Now we're drawing over 2,800 watts, 29, 3,000, and it just kicked off, just as it should. But very, very good output there. Error 22 overload, so very, very good. Did what it was supposed to do and shut down. So now let's see if we can restart it. Let's turn it off, turn it back on. The error message went away. And turn back on, no problem. Another nice feature about this expansion battery is that your charge rate is increased. Without it, you could charge at 600 watts or 1200 watts. And with the expansion battery, when you're switched to 600 watts, it charges at around 721 watts. But when you bump that up to 1200 watts, you could charge it up to 1500 watts that goes between the main unit and the expansion battery. So you gain about 300 watts of charge input having the expansion battery connected to the main unit, which is nice to see to charge that expansion battery up a little bit quicker. All right, so now we're gonna try something that I haven't seen anyone else try before. We're gonna try the 1000 watt super fast car charger plugged into a standard deep cycle battery. That's actually hooked to a backup sump pump. When my power dies, that battery will run the 12 volt pump that's in that hole right there. But we're gonna plug this into there and see if it will charge this unit. One thing I noticed whenever you have it plugged in, you can go in the bottom corner of the app. It shows you SDC 1000 watt car charger, and it shows you the voltage of my battery, which is 13.1 volts. Now you can open this up and you can adjust the charge rate. Right now I have it set for 202 watts to recharge the power station. And I have the minimum voltage of the car recharging set to 13 volts. So that means that that battery will not drop below 13 volts, and it will adjust the wattage automatically to not go below that 13 volts. As it gets closer, the wattage will slow down and you won't get 200 watts of input. But what I noticed is you can go in the app and adjust those settings. As long as this is plugged into there, you can even have it turned off here and still go into the app to adjust those settings. So we're gonna go ahead and turn this on now. And you can see it started charging at 57 watts, 47 watts, and my battery is at 2.9 volts. So because I dropped below that 13 volts, it's gonna start limiting the power here. Now I'm gonna go into the app and adjust the minimum voltage down to, let's say, 12.6, which is the minimum you can go. You can adjust it from 12.6 to 14 volts. And you can see it's gonna bump up there to 200 and right around 202 watts, which is what I have the recharge rate set to. So I'm going to bump that back up to 12.8. That's what it was set at for the factory. And you can see that it actually just cut out and quit charging because my battery is around 12.6 volts and I set it to 12.8. So that's pretty awesome. Now I do have my charger plugged in to charge that battery up. That's why it's able to output that many watts. But if I unplug that charger, just that standalone 12 volt deep cycle battery does not really have enough juice to recharge this, because once it hits 12.6 volts, that's the lowest you could set it to. It limits the input voltage. So if you want to recharge these with standard batteries, you're probably better off going with a lithium battery because they have a higher voltage. But additionally, you can go in here and reverse charge. You can either set it up to automatic and set your charge and recharge limit, or you could go to charge and set it to recharge your battery. I have it set for discharge power at 100 watts and 12.8 volts. Now you can see there's power coming from the Power 1000 and going out and into that deep cycle battery. So what's awesome about this is I could probably set this for about 100 watts or so, keep it set at 12.8 volts, and it will feed voltage into that battery if I needed to run that battery powered sump pump in a power outage. But actually I could just kick on the AC, run my standard pump from AC, and then run this to that battery to recharge it in a power outage. One other thing I noticed, which is cool, now this unit is on but it looks like it's off. You can hit this button and it tells you what mode you're in here with the two little lights. If you hold this button for a few seconds, it will switch through the modes. 2 lights is auto, and then car charging mode, and then battery mode. We're gonna go ahead and hold it until it's on 2 lights here for auto mode, and I have it set for 12.8 volts. So now it's in auto mode. We're gonna plug the charger into the battery, and as soon as it starts charging, the charger puts out over 13 volts. I have this set to 12.8 volts. So as soon as it senses that 13 volts, this unit should automatically start charging. All right, so there it is. It's charging at 200 watts now, which is what I have it set to because that's outputting 13 volts into that battery. And now it's sensing over 12.8 volts and charging up. That's pretty awesome. Now let's take this out to my wife's CRV and see what kind of input we can get from that. All right, so I got the 1 kilowatt super fast car charger hooked up to my wife's Honda CRV. Shh, don't tell her because she'll kill me if I break it. Now these aren't the best clamps, they're just what I had laying around. I was able to splice them in here and get them to work, and very, very cheap clamps. I'm going to be purchasing some more heavy duty ones, so if that's something you're interested in making it portable like this, I'll put links down below there once I receive them and know they're good quality. So if you're interested in those, check the link out. But let's see how it's working. So right now the car's turned off. Got the power stations on, and obviously everything's off here. So now opening up the app here, down below here you can see it's 12.9 volts is what the battery's currently at. And you can open that up there. Right now I have it set on recharge, which means it's going to recharge this unit as soon as I start the car up. And I have it set for minimum voltage 13 volts. Obviously it's not charging right now because the car battery is only at about 12.6 volts. So let's start it up and see what happens. So let's go back to this screen here. The car is at 14.4 volts now, so it should start charging. And there it goes. It's charging at 186, 211, bumping up 300 now. Now when you get this unit without this dongle, it's only going to charge at 500 watts max. You need this dongle to go into the app to increase that if you want to charge at anything over 500 watts. So keep that in mind. If you get this 1 kilowatt supercharger, you're going to want to get this dongle as well so that you can increase that charge limit. So now the car is putting out 14.1 volts and 300 watts is going into the unit, charging both that and the expansion battery up. The expansion battery is getting 178 watts or so, and the main unit is getting somewhere around 120 watts for a total of 300 watts combined. Now let me go ahead and bump this up. That's what I actually had it set to, was 302 watts. So let's bump this up to the max, 1000 watts, and see what it'll do. Immediately it starts bumping up, and this is an old 2007 Honda CRV. So it's up to about 564 watts. And the vehicle is at 13.9 volts here on the output on the alternator, showing about 574 watts here at an idle. Now in my opinion, that's actually not too bad for being those really cheap clamps. All that cable, so it's really not clamped on there very good, and the car's just sitting here at an idle getting almost 600 watts of input. So I'm going to rev it up just slightly here and see if it charges a little bit faster. And this is up to about 2000 RPMs here, and it's increasing slightly, 595 watts. We're getting 364 into the lower expansion battery, and the remainder of that is going into the main unit up top here. Now one thing I did notice, when you have this 1 kilowatt charger plugged into the expansion battery, it does not tell you the voltage on the display here like it did when I had it in my basement hooked up to the Sump pump battery. When I had it plugged in here, it was showing me the voltage on here, but now that it's plugged into the expansion battery, it does not show me the voltage on here. It only shows me the voltage in the app, which is right here at the bottom, 13.9 volts. So it's bumping up there slightly, and that is automatic. It's going to ramp up or down according to what your car's output power will output and according to what you have the unit set to, which is pretty amazing. And another nice feature that I haven't seen any other super fast charger for power stations is that this is a aluminum housing, and it has an internal fan in there to keep this thing nice and cool when it's running. I haven't seen any other companies offer that. Most of them are sealed units and there is no fan, so very nice to see that that thing's going to stay cool while it's charging your DJI Power 1000 up. So we already bumped up 1% here. I believe it was at 80% here just a minute ago. So very, very nice, because when you're only charging from a cigarette lighter output, the max you're going to get into this thing is about 120 watts peak. Unless you do multiple chargers, you might get somewhere around 180 to 200 watts. If you see my initial video, I show that, trying to get as much input into it I can. But this is awesome now. This is awesome to be able to just plug in. If you're out on a camping trip and you run out of juice, just clamp that thing on a battery, let your car sit here and idle, and you can charge it at least 500-600 watts to charge that thing back up in a pinch, and maybe even more depending on your car and the alternator output. Now let's turn the vehicle off and see what happens. It should shut off because I have it set to around 13 volts, and when I shut the ignition off, the battery voltage should go lower than that, and that charge rate should decrease to 0. Oh, there we go. It just bumped up to 900 watts. 1000 watts, 1030, 1050. Holy cow, it's actually charging it more than the 1000 watts that it's rated for. That's pretty crazy. I got 597 watts going into this battery, and the remainder going into that battery. Good thing I just caught that before I shut it down. Let's open the app back up. 1047, 1054. And the car's alternator is still at 13.2 volts. So there we go. That's excellent. That's crazy that it's outputting more than what it's rated for. And I just heard the fan kick on here. Here's how loud it is. Very, very quiet. So I don't know what made it bump up all of a sudden. There we go, back to an idle here, and it dropped down a little bit. Let me rev it back up just slightly. And it went back up over 1000 watts. That's amazing, guys. I'm glad I seen that, because I was just about to shut the car off. I just figured that my alternator was only capable of outputting up to 600 watts in addition to running the car, but it's up over 1000 watts right now, which is pretty insane. I figured it would have at least been capped at 1000 for sure. But this thing will charge up super quick. Already gained a few percent. Now we're sitting at 83% between the main unit and the expansion battery. All right, now I'm letting it idle back down, just in an idle here. And it's dropping slightly to right around 800 watts. So now we're gonna shut the key off and see what happens. And it went down to 0, just like it should. So that's pretty amazing that this has some smart technology in it where it'll increase and decrease depending on what your car is doing, depending on what it outputs, and that 1 kilowatt hour super fast car charger has a fan in it to keep it cool. Pretty amazing. And what's awesome about this super fast car charger is you could set it for reverse charging, so you can keep your vehicle charged. So essentially you can run things off the ports in your vehicle and keep your battery charged from this main unit. But what's amazing is this thing can be set to auto, and it will automatically recharge your car battery if it's getting low, or if your battery has enough voltage, it will start charging this unit all by itself automatically. So pretty amazing. I haven't seen that in any of the other fast chargers for other power stations. Usually you have to go in and switch it yourself. It's not automatic, so very nice that this has that automatic feature. And let me know down below in the comments if you'd like me to get the 1.8 kilowatt fast solar charger and want me to do testing with that. Let me know what you thought down below of these new accessories and how well they performed. And like I said, if you're interested, the links will be down below. Thanks for watching. Please consider subscribing, and I'll see all of you around on the next one.